Well, everybody knows how I feel about the Irish and how I feel about Dublin, Ireland. So it is my pleasure to go there right now and take all of you with me. Pauric Matter is joining us right now. And I'll tell you what, he's got a book that first of all, he has 477 reviews. So what does that tell you, right? And his book, #1 in the UK as we're speaking, and for 47 weeks, some crazy thing just recently, if you look in the last year. So his book is called How to Play Acoustic Guitar, the Ultimate Guitar Book. And as he and I chatted a little bit off the air, as he said, this is perfect for beginners and this is perfect for me. How many of you want to learn? My whole life I've wanted to learn, but I'm a little bit intimidated because I'm busy with other things. He's got the magic secret, the magic touch, and he's done this for over 30 years. So, Pauric, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kate. Hello from Dublin, Ireland.
Let's talk about your story. What was your road to picking up the acoustic guitar, learning all these things, playing in a band? What happened? What's your story?
I had an unusual upbringing, Kate. Not the normal upbringing that most people have. I actually grew up in a golf club that my uncle built in Ireland. And so from a very young age, I was surrounded by older people. And the golf club became famous. So all the famous musicians joined that golf club. And I ended up in the middle of a very high standard of music from a young age. And I learned things that stand to me to this day that you would never learn in a music school. I just got to see it from the other side with how very successful people work, and had the privilege to work with them later on and write songbooks for some of these people, and learned some of them showed me how to write, improve my guitar playing, thankfully, and some of those are still friends to this day, thankfully.
Wow, how exciting that you got to do that at a young age. And you said, and because we're all human and we have many, many layers to us, and I know there's people that are struggling with other things, before you got down this great road of really doing this as a career, you got sidetracked a little bit.
Yes, Kate. And just before I go into that, the reason I got so interested in teaching the guitar is because, if you want the truth, I'm actually a failed guitar player. I had learned to play piano and piano accordion, and when I heard the sound of the acoustic guitar, it sounded so good, and I tried to teach myself. I couldn't. I went to someone who was supposed to be teaching me, who couldn't teach it, and all these years later, I realized the same thing is going on. So I kind of made an agreement. I was just very fortunate to meet a very famous Irish group called the Fury Brothers, and the whole family were so good, and they pulled me up and got me going on the guitar, and I never looked back. And I made a deal then that I would always set time to teach other people how to correctly learn the guitar. And I've done that for the last 30 years. And I will, no matter how many books I sell or don't sell, I will continue that until that's a big part of my calling musically. So I've always honored that, Kate.
Wow, tremendous. And you said, I talked about you taking it from that level and playing in different pubs, etc. And of course, the Irish have such strong music. I know because I've been there several times and it always blows me away. And now you're strong and you can do those sorts of things. But at one point, like I was mentioning, you got a little bit sidetracked.
Yes, Kate. And sorry I didn't answer your question the last time. I will answer that question now. So my young life with the music and all that, it got very glamorous for a while. And then I discovered drink, not realizing that there was a history of problem drinking in my family going back generations. And I was to learn much later in life that I was born with the gene of alcoholism in me. And the younger years of my 20s and that, it was fine, you get away with stuff. But as I got into my 30s, it just got worse and worse and worse. And so a lot of my young life was live music and alcohol, which is magic. But I crossed the line into full-blown alcoholism and just lost my way completely. So I've had dark days as well, Kate.
But then you pulled yourself out of that.
I didn't actually, Kate. I wasn't able to. I tried everything to stop because I was so successful in so many areas. I thought, okay, I'll stop drinking. And I promised so many times and meant it, but I couldn't stay stopped. I couldn't. Also, I had no concept of God or anything. I just was living from day to day. I was losing my work and the problems that go with it. I got so desperate, I started going to psychic mediums. I started going to fortune tellers, anything, and tried religion for a little bit. That didn't work either. Nothing worked for me, Kate. So my liver was well shot through in 1999. So the doctor said, if you continue drinking, you've got about between 6 months and 18 months to live. And I still couldn't stop. Someone then at an AA meeting quoted a Bible verse the first time I heard it. And I had no interest in any of that stuff, that what was impossible with man was possible with God. So I said, I've nothing left to lose. I've tried all the other stuff. And so I, for the first time, actually asked God to help me. And from that day to this, that was 20 and a half years ago, I haven't taken a drink. So I have a completely different life, and all that work I do now would not be possible. It's all Bible based and without God's help. Wherever you are listening to this, if you think this is not making sense or if it's rubbish, I totally understand, because I was that person for a lot of years who had no interest whatsoever. I just switched off when God was mentioned, or the Bible or spirituality. But I also was in a very dark place and a lot of problems. And all those problems have been sorted out step by step. So what is impossible with man really is possible with God, because I am the proof.
Well, Pauric, thank you for sharing that story. That's powerful. And I hope it inspires and helps a lot of people that are listening. And speaking of help, like I said, you have rocked it with the guitar. I mean, how many weeks was it that you're #1 on Amazon in the UK?
42 weeks last year consecutively, Kate, and it's back to #1 today in England again. So I'm very grateful for that.
Wow, incredible. So tell.
If I could just say a little bit more on it, Kate. I know I'm not really boasting. I'll just give you some facts on that. That book has now been translated into 11 languages. So I am now the most translated guitar author in the world at this point in time, and it's available in over 100 countries. And as I said, I've had 4 #1s actually, not just that one. There's been 4, because it's been #1 in French and it's been #1 in, I can't remember, Kate, but I do have 4 #1s to this point.
Wow. So let's crack open the book and tell me, you're a beginner, so how do you approach it that's so successful, that's so different in your book, How to Play Acoustic Guitar, the Ultimate Guitar Book? And as you said, especially for beginners. So what do you do that's different, and how do you approach it?
Yes, yeah, that's a very important question, Kate. And it's one that most people who want to learn guitar, especially adults, forget to ask. They forget to ask, and it's very, very important. And I'll tell you why. Because I had the privilege of writing a songbook for a famous Irish group years ago who made some very famous records. And about 3 songs in, I wanted to make sure it was right. So I sat down with the lead singer and his wife, only to find out that this man could not read or write music himself, even though he had made these songs famous. So I decided from this point, I discovered this is why they're so free. So I took all music theory out of all my books from that moment on. And every other book you buy on guitar, they will say learn guitar. But a lot of teach yourself guitar books are actually fake. They get you into learning music theory, which is a completely different thing, crotchets and quavers. But a lot of the big name artists have openly admitted now that they actually do not have a knowledge of writing or reading music. And this is why they're so free. Jazz musicians have a great freedom because they play purely on feel. So if you look at my book, there is no music whatsoever in my books. You're gone straight in with how your fingers, how your hands, how your thumbs are actually supposed to work, how you roll, not strumming, because all the books tell you to strum. That makes you hit the guitar. It's a noisy sound. Rolling, the good players roll along. So that's where I am. You're doing it, Kate. You have it already there. Yeah. So I teach the person. And even the guitar is not even mentioned in my book, believe it or not. It's just, if you look closely, it's just all what that person is to do. And it's very easy to follow. Believe me, it is.
Wow.
And most importantly, Kate, it's based on 30 years experience. No, sorry, about 24 years experience. Real life, working with people night after night after night in the trenches with them. So you know what works and what doesn't. So it is the real deal.
Yeah. And I think you've said this, but it's worth mentioning this here at the tail end. What do you hope people take away from when they get your book? What do you hope they take away from it?
Yeah, to put it into perspective, first of all, you can't learn a guitar in 14 days or 30 days, like books say. That's not happening. Anything worthwhile takes time. But I've got it to somewhere between 8 weeks and 12 weeks where we can get adults in particular where we can get them to know about 7 or 8 chords and rhythms, and if we can get them about 8 good international songs by, say, the Beatles or Bruce Springsteen, decent quality songs, instead of most beginners are given nursery rhymes. You see them in the books there. The beginners can learn Bob Marley or all these good artists. Just I was doing Rod Stewart last night in an adult beginners class here. We were working on Rod Stewart, Sailing, just 5 simple chords. If I could just give you one other reason why my book succeeded where all the others fail. The 2 reasons why most people fail is they actually can't change their chords fast. So they give up and they get this horrible sound. It just doesn't sound right. So they say, I can't do this, and they put it away. So on my programs and in my books, I show people actually how to get the sound right, and they have to work on that. And I actually show them the bit between the chords, what no other book has done. And that's, if you want one of my secrets for success, that's how I do it.
Okay. And that makes a big difference. So we don't want to give all the secrets away. Pauric Matter, thank you so much. How to Play Acoustic Guitar, the ultimate guitar book. Pick it up on Amazon. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.